And this one is kind of an aqua or teal color, and it says fall something. And then this hanging sign that is green, which I really love. It's got that pretty watercolor look. And I'm going to start dismantling that because we won't need all the bows and the hangers. We're going to start off with the Aqua truck sign. Okay, so for this sign, I have this little stand that came with something that I got, I believe, at the thrift store. But it's a sign holder. It actually held up some words or something. Oh, that sign says Fall Harvest. Okay, so if you have something like this, that would be great. But I'm going to show you what you can do if you don't have that. So I'm going to go back to the truck here and take this white marker that came from Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to go around my edges and just kind of put a little more highlight on here with this marker. I'm going over the edges of it. And I'm going to be going around the bumper and all of that. You can do this if you would like. If you don't want to, you don't have to. Also, you could use a brown for this. You could use a furniture stain marker that you can get from Dollar Tree, or you can use black, or you don't have to do this at all. But I wanted to make this look a little more high-end than what we have, so I figured a little more detail couldn't hurt it. You can also go over your pumpkins if you would like. I'm going to take my sanding block and try to get the remainder of that off. For some reason, when it was manufactured, it did not have a complete coverage on there. It just didn't. And so I thought, well, if I want to keep those words, I can go back over it. And I'm just taking a metallic marker here and just going over the words. Now, I sanded this down to where I felt was pretty smooth. But even so, when I went back over it with the marker, you can see there's some grit, and it's making the print not look so great. So I didn't like it. I did let it dry, and then I've just took this is a sanding block too, but this is actually like a nail file that you can get from, I believe, Dollar Tree. And I've just sanded that off with kind of a fine grit so that I didn't go all the way through my white. And then I'm going to erase it now. So I'm going to use some of this linen white chalk paint. You could use acrylic paint, you know, whatever you want to use in here, or you could even use gray and maybe color the whole thing out so that you don't even have a little tag sign back there. But I wanted to leave it because at this point I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do here. But this gave me the ability to have some free space to write in, to put a sticker on, or whatever. So I've left this in the video so that you can see, you can fix your mistakes, and you have a few more options. Now, I'm going to take the same bag of little words that I have used already from Dollar Tree. This is a wonderful value. There's 6 in a pack, and I hope you can find them. They are just raw wood. You can paint them. You can leave them as is. You can use a marker, whatever you want to do. And some of these words actually fit right on that little sign there. Now this one is the one I'm going to use. It's a little bit large for it, but it doesn't matter to me. So I'm going to take this cherry furniture repair marker, and you can see what the color is on paper. It's actually darker when you put it on wood, so you might want to test your markers out first if you get them. They come in a 3-pack. I absolutely love them. Look at the coverage with these things. They are wonderful. And I have used them for furniture repair, and they work great. So you can choose whatever colors you want. There are lighter ones. You can, like I said before, you can use paint or some type of marker if you wanted to use a different color. Orange would probably be pretty, but my home is rustic, and I thought that this brown color is close to the color of the wheels, and it definitely has that rustic vibe that I'm always trying to go for. Little hot glue will attach this down, and I'm gonna try to center it right there. And just press it down. Hot glue will hold it there nicely. Okay, so I'm going to give you an option. If you don't have one of those stands that I have, you can easily use Jenga blocks, the ones that come from Dollar Tree, and make your own stand. I'm just showing you here how to do it. There's a little dent in my table, so I stood these up on my ruler just so I'd have a flat surface when I glue it. And I'm just going to end to end put this on here. The sign's not heavy. There's really no need in using wood glue or anything like that. If you want it more sturdy and more permanent, you can certainly use wood glue, but I'm not going to be using this. I'm going to use my stand. I just want to show you how you can do it. You're going to make 2 rows like this of 6 blocks each, and just try to get them nice and straight. And then you'll be able to sandwich your sign in between with some hot glue, and that should hold it. You don't have to leave them standing up. You could actually lay them down and make it a little more flat. May give it a little more stability. Well, there you go. Okay, but for me, I'm going to use the stand because this is what I have. I'm going to add some hot glue to the bottom of these tires and just try to get it seated down in the little slot here. It'll pretty much hold itself there until it dries. And then after it's dry, you can go on to embellishing. Now, these little wooden stickers originally came from Target, but I got them at dirt cheap last year because I could get them at a very cheap price, and I've used the same couple of packages of these wood stickers for 2 years. You've seen them in my other videos. I love working with these. They're so cute, and they're thicker than a regular sticker, so they can stand on their own, and I like that. Plus they're adhesive on the back, obviously, if they're a sticker, but you can reinforce it with hot glue or anything that you want. You're going to see me moving these pumpkins around a little bit as I try to get them organized and try to arrange them how I like them. And because they will stick there like that, you can take them off and move them around a little bit if you don't press them down too hard, but you get the idea. It's kind of what I was looking at to see if I liked it, and I'm just going to move them around a little bit, put some more of these darker colored pumpkins, and remove a few of the little glittery ones. You can always paint them if you want them a different color. Okay, so now I have these little burlap type leaves. I have 2 different types. I have an oak leaf that is brown, and I have a maple leaf that is orange, if I'm getting my trees right. Feel free to correct me, in a nice way, of course. The great thing about this is the long wire that comes off the back. It will allow us a little extra base to hold it down, I guess, kind of what I'm getting at, because it'll go down in the slots underneath. But I like the way this looks. It looks like the truck is just speeding past the pumpkin patch, and some leaves are kicking up by the tires. I like that. Okay, so you can bend these because they are on a wire, make them look a little more lifelike, give them some dimension. Bend those wires together so that they stay in place. And then you can just press that bent wire right down into that little crack that is underneath the truck in the little stand. And it works out perfectly. And I'm going to stand it up, and I'm going to add some hot glue just to lock it in place. Do that on both sides. You can trim it down if you want, but I feel like all of this stuff touching in there together and the glue on top of it really holds it in place. As I've said before, it's important when you're doing any type of, I guess, craft, that you're going to have dimension. It's going to be more 3D instead of a flat, like a flat sign or something. You kind of want to look at it from all angles. Whoops, I lost the pumpkin. Look at it from all angles and make sure that you have everything the way you like it. All right, now, got to have a bow on this. This is too cute not to bow it up. So here we go. I'm going to use some of my thrifted, checked, or gingham, whatever you want to call it, ribbon. And I'm going to make an easy bow here. It's not actually named an easy bow, but it's pretty easy. You see what I did there. I made a loop, like a breast cancer awareness loop, pressed the loop straight down into the bottom part, and then we have 2 loops and 2 tails. Easy, easy. It's such a simple bow, and I use it more and more because it's just so, it's pretty. It's a pretty bow, and it's a simple bow, And I think with rustic and farmhouse, you want kind of a simple look, you know. I've just used a little bit of, this was the tie off of one of the signs, I think. And just repurposed it to tie that up in the middle. Trim off what we don't need. I used that because it was laying there. I do keep my scraps, so I keep them to the side in case I want to use them for anything else. I'm just fluffing that bow out a little bit. Everything is dry. Everything is set up nicely and it is in place. And then I'm going to add this little bow over here on the side of the truck. It's going to cover up the tag holes in the top, and I think it just gives it a cute little look. So fluff it out. I do this about 1 billion times when I craft. And I'm just going to cut these tails in a slant. And then you can use a little bit of hot glue, just a little bit, because you don't want it to shine, you know, to peek out through your ribbon. You almost want it to appear as though it is just sitting up there on its own. Now, this is a scrap off of something else I had. I'm going to make, you see this really simple bow? Then I'm going to double it so that I have 4 loops. All I did was double it back, and now I have 4 loops and 2 tails. If you don't do the little, if you can't get that little double part, then you can surely do 2 bows and stack them on top of each other. We don't want to make things more difficult than they have to be. But I thought this was cute. And it matches the kind of burlap that is in the leaves that we have there. I want to add a little more. So this is fabric, and feel free to alter anything that you get, any picks, anything that you get to make it your own. That's what the channel's about, right? Making it your own. So I'm making this leaf my own. And I'm just going to cut a little piece and tuck it here, because if I put the whole leaf there, it would be way too much, way too big for that area. And I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to pull my wire off, put it aside because it can be used for another project. And I'm going to trim down this orange leaf. And then just a little more hot glue, and I'm going to layer it on. I think I'm going to put it behind there because I have the orange on the top. So I have a little variation in color there. I like that. And this is how it looks. And I like it. Do you like this little aqua sign? I'm just showing you, I've got some picks here that I might want to use. Definitely need some florals. I have a scrap of thrifted fabric. I have some of these are larger size. They're bigger than Jengas. So I'm measuring those for you so you can see what size they are. If you have this size, great. If you don't, go ahead and use what you have. And I'm going to use this gorgeous thrifted ribbon. I pulled it right off of something else and brought it home with me. And then this gingham. Here is the little truck. And then here is a Valentine sign that I have used twice, and we're going to use it again. I'm going to lay it down on top of my fabric, trim it off where I have at least 1 inch, maybe a little over 1 inch on the edges so that I can hot glue it. So I'm going to put glue down and I'm going to tuck it over, and this is how this is going to look. All the way around, glued down nicely, trim off what you don't need. And it kind of looks like an ironing board, doesn't it? Okay, who still irons their clothes, by the way? Is anybody? Okay, so now you can see what these blocks are for. I'm going to make a little shelf almost in the back here. This is going to hold this away from the sign, and it's also going to hold our floral foam so that we can do a little arrangement. I'm going to use just plain hot glue here. You can use something more permanent if you'd like, but because I recycle my projects and use them again and again on many different things, I don't want a totally permanent hold. If I do want a permanent hold, it's going to be something that I don't intend to take apart. It's going to be in my house a long time. So I found this cute little vinyl cutout. It's a peel and stick that came from Target, but I got it at dirt cheap. and there's 2 in a pack, and I thought, hey, let's try this. This is a Merry Christmas sign I got for 10 cents from Dollar General last year, and I used white chalk paint on the back of it. I just used 1 good coat. Now I'm peeling this off and doing it with my fingers. In case you are not someone who owns a Cricut, then you wouldn't have transfer paper. So I'm just trying to show you here, it can be done without transfer paper, but you have to take your time and you got to be sure of where you put it when you put it down, because the font is so thin that you would definitely tear something trying to lift it, I do believe. But there you go, and I'm okay with where it's laying because I can't change it now. Then I'm just going to take my leaves and just add those on there, kind of wherever. And this is what we have for that. Now I'm going to rough it up a little bit by taking that same fingernail file sanding block and just go all around my edges. I know that I want to put it on the top, and in order to get my placement and to make sure that it is straight, I'm going to use this little ruler at the top just to give me a little space here so I know where I want to put it. I've added hot glue on the back of the sign, and I'm just going to press it down so that it doesn't come apart. You can put something on top of this to hold it in place until it is firmly set if you would like, or you could use some clamps over the spots with the glue so that it stays in place until it is dry. Okay, so now I'm just using my block against the foam to determine how thick I want my pieces of foam to be. I'm just using a metal ruler to just slice this right down. And you dust it off and get all that stuff off of there because it's going to make a mess. I don't even have to use hot glue to put this in place. I've trimmed another piece for the other side and it fits in there and sits perfectly by itself. Now the truck is going to sit like this, and I'm going to use this again as a spacer to make sure that I get my truck exactly where I want it. This isn't glued down, it's just a spacer for making this straight. I'm going to use hot glue again all around the edges to place this down. I'm standing above it trying to make sure that I have it somewhat centered, and I'm going to place it down. You can slide it a little bit. Now I'm going to weight this down because I don't want anything to come away. Now for the bow on top, I'm using this beautiful pumpkin ribbon. It is wired, and I'm going to just pinch it up just like that, same as we did on the other one, but this one is going to be stacked. I'm going to add several layers on this one. I'm going to pinch this one up in the middle, put that on top, and then I was on the search for what I wanted to go in the middle. I wanted something a little more burlappy, something a little more neutral. So I took some of this burlap, I guess we're going to call it ribbon. I don't know if you would call this ribbon or not, but it is definitely not wired. You can pull the edges away if you would like to, and that will help it to fray and make it a little more rustic. If you fold it against the curve, that will also help it lay a little more flat. And I've decided that it should go right in the middle. I like the way that looks. It gives a little buffer between the prints. Now I'm going to take another little piece of scrap jute and just tie a couple of knots in the center there tightly so that it doesn't come apart. I'm just using my thumb to hold that knot in place because it will slip. It will slip. I'm going to dovetail my ends here. And like I said, pull your little excess away if you would like a little bit of fraying. It's really a cute rustic look. And then I'm just going to fluff. I'm going to adjust a little bit to make sure that I get my loops the size I want. And then I'm going to dovetail what else needs to be dovetailed. Fluffing that bow as usual. You know how we do here on my channel. We fluff it to death. And then trim off this because you're not going to need this on here. We're going to glue it. Now I know I want it at the top. I'm going to put a good bit of glue up there on my top above that sign. I'm going to center it above there and then use a clamp to hold it in place. This clamp actually came with my lighting kit, but you can use any kind of clamp you have. So now I've switched up my florals, and I'm going to use these picks. Use whatever you like, but I like these. They kind of look, they don't look like wheat, but they give that airy feel, and I like that. I think it's a very farmhouse addition to this rustic project, as well as that striped fabric in the background. I'm going to add some of these little orange flowers here and there. If your picks are too small, then you can just add a pick off of something else. And these beautiful little puff balls, I don't know what these are, but they came from Dollar Tree, and I love them. I'm going to put them as little twinsies, and I'm going to put them in sets of 2 in here. I think they look really cute in here. What do you think? Do you like these? Have you crafted with these yet? I've seen a lot of people haul them, but I have not really seen people using them. So I'm just curious. All right, I'm trimming up a little bit on my bows. Again, trim where you need. Move things around. If you need a little bit of glue to hold things in place, you can go ahead and do that. And this is our third sign. What do you think about this? Cute, huh? All right, so we're going to need a device to hang it, and I'm going to use a little hanger off of another project. I removed this off of something else. I'm going to add some hot glue here right around that hole and just put it right there. It's not a perfect fit, but it won't matter. That glue is going to take up the space. All right, we're going to start off with window clings and some little signs. These are chalkboard signs that I got at Dirt Cheap, but you can get some at the Dollar Tree, something similar. Since this is for inspiration, you might not find the same things, but we can get similar things. And a lot of these signs you can just press with your fingers and pop the back out. If you can do it that way. If not, then you can paint it white. Then you're going to take some scrapbook paper or any type of decorative paper that you like. Something with a fall theme would be great if you're doing a fall tray. I'm just going to put that back down on there and flip it over. Wouldn't matter one way or the other, actually. And then you're going to trace out around it. Take your scissors and cut it out, or use any type of a cutter that you have to get that the right size to cover up that background. I like this print because it looks like fall to me. Fall or Christmas even. It's kind of black, white, gray, really pretty neutral colors. I'm going to use my glue stick to go all over this. You can use any type of glue stick you have. You can use Mod Podge if you would prefer. And we're just going to press that on. Smooth it down so it gets a good grip on your surface. I don't need these little hangers, so I'm just going to cut these off. We're going to be using it on a tiered tray, so it doesn't need a hanger. Now this should snug right back in there. You don't necessarily have to use glue on these. They pretty much stay where they're put, but I will use some glue to put it down. So I've just chosen a couple of little of these clings that I liked that would be cute on a tier tray or maybe a coffee bar. I love the little sweater weather, and it looks really cute with that background. And it almost makes the sweater look like it has a little plaid design on it. So that was our first one, and we're going to move on to the second one. These are so easy. Something so simple for you, especially if you're a first-time tiered tray decorator. You can definitely try something like this, and it's a lot of fun to do it. Fun and easy. It's just repetitive right now. I'm going to take my little coffee cup pumpkin spice sign and put that down, and I decided I wanted to add a little something else to that, so I'm going to put a pumpkin there. Now all of these came off of the same sheet of clings from Dollar Tree. You can use any of them though. Alright, so I'm just going to take my glue gun here and put a bead of glue all the way around just a light bead of glue all the way around the inside so that it doesn't pop out of the frame. It will actually stay in there if you get your paper trimmed up correctly, but I think I'm going to keep these around a while, so I'm just going to glue them down. I'm going to use my little handy dandy paperweight and put it down just to hold these in place until they dry. Moving on to the next, I'm going to use a little more of that same paper. One of these little pins. This is just a metallic pen that I got from Goodwill. It's from Office Depot, I think. I tried the color and I like it. So I'm just going to cover this Give Thanks to put on the other sign. Now you can clearly tell when you look at this, this is too big to fit in the inside of the frame. It's too large for that, but we want it to overlap. It's going to give it some dimension and it's going to give it kind of an interesting look. So when it's all colored and the pen dried very quickly, I was able to work with it immediately. I'm going to glue that back in and you'll see how we put the Give Thanks on. So I'm just going to see where I want to put it, and I like it sitting on the outside. So just a little hot glue there and put my Give Thanks right on top. There you go. There's our third sign. All four of these signs are going to coordinate, and I'm going to show you shortly how that works. Okay, so these are just some little chipboard pieces of pumpkin scatter, I guess you would call it, and they came from Target originally, but I got them from Dirt Cheap, I believe, last year. So I'm just getting an idea of which ones I want to put in there, and I'm going to make this kind of a 3D thing like this. The little squatty pumpkin is going to go in the background. I pushed it up to the top so you can see more of it behind the other pumpkins when we layer those on. I'm going to add some glue right on the corners, making sure that my pumpkin doesn't hang over the bottom because we want this to stand, and that the gourd here is in the same type of situation. We don't want anything to prevent it from standing up straight because it's going to be standing. So here are our little signs, and we're going to put a little stand on the sign so that it will hold itself up when we put it on the tiered tray. I'm going to add some hot glue, press down a little wood Jenga block from Dollar Tree, just like that, and it will be able to stand. Now you can start embellishing. You can do anything you want to make this your own. I'm just going to use a little tiny bow from Juke right on the top of my little pumpkin in the background so that you don't forget he's back there. Okay, so here you go, just showing you what these all look like, how they look together. Hey, if you want to show me some love, you can buy me a coffee. Look in the description box for the link. Thanks. You can see how these look together. And these, everything coordinates nicely. So you could use maybe a few of these on your tiered tray and a few of these on your coffee stand. They look really nice together, I think. All the colors. Cute. What do you think? These were so easy to make. Okay, so using the same clings, I'm going to use these wood rounds. This is just another idea of something you can do if maybe you prefer a more rustic look. You can take one of your clings and put it on a wood slice. These are actually ornaments that I got from Goodwill, but you can certainly get these at the craft stores, especially around Christmas time. So you just choose which one is going to be the best fit for your cling. You don't want anything hanging over because it could peel off. And you're just going to put your glue on there and then place it down. Now I've specifically put it where it covers up the stem. It really wouldn't matter one way or the other. I'm going to use another one of these wood pieces. This one's a little chunky piece that came in a bag from Dollar Tree. I'm making sure that it will lay flat. And then I'm going to take the flat part of that wood round, press those together so that it will stand on its own. Otherwise, it'll just roll around. You could definitely use a Jenga block on the back of these too, but you'll be able to see it. And I was trying to cover that up. So again, choosing the round that you like the best. and placing your designs on. I think this is a very rustic look. And then just using a different piece of wood from the longer wood bags that you can get at Dollar Tree. I'm just giving you options here, so you know you're going to see a lot of different stuff. I'm going to cut one of these clings. You can do it very easily, and then glue it down kind of at an angle, and I'm going to use another little stick in the back to hold it up. And this is what these three look like. All right, then here we go with some pumpkin ornaments. You get these also at the Dollar Tree. You can use those stains from Dollar Tree, furniture repair markers. I'm going to use some paper and a different window cling set. So I've chosen maple as my color, and I'm going to color this pumpkin about a quarter of the way down. So I'm just making my line and filling it in there. Use whatever color you like. And then I'm going to use my plaid paper on the bottom half. Glue stick, I'm going to get it down really nicely on all the edges and corners. And then I'm going to place my paper down. Press it down and then trim it out. Then you can take your sanding block and just go around the edges. Okay, once that's done, choose which one of these you want to use, and we'll be putting that down again with the glue stick. These are such easy projects. I know you're going to be trying at least one of these, right? Of course, but the best is yet to come, so don't click away yet. Okay, so we're just going to press that down, and yes, you can see it's a little bit kind of smoky looking. It's not completely crystal clear that you can see all the way through it, but I don't mind that. That's okay. Then I'm going to take my Mod Podge, and this is my matte Mod Podge, and I'm going to go over the whole thing so this will stay down. All of these layers will stick together, the wood, the paper, and the window cling. I'm going to let it dry, and then I'm going to take a little bit of checked or gingham ribbon, and I'm going to make just a little simple bow to go on the top of it. This is a good way to cover up the little hole in the top. Just pull it until you get it the right length and then trim up those tails. This is super cute. There you go. Okay, now for my favorite two, we're going to use these Monogram pumpkins from Dollar Tree. I have a P and an A, and I'm going to show you how you can take these apart. They're in two different layers here. You're going to take a thin wooden ruler or maybe a thin butter knife or something and just pry it gently underneath. It's just held down by glue, no nails. Then pull off the bow. Same thing here. We're going to go underneath, press, try not to pull or break that top layer. And then we're going to pull it off. Pull that bow away. Now we have two pieces for each one of these pumpkins that we can work with, and we're going to do them in opposites. I'm going to take some of this scrap paper that we just used so that our items will coordinate. I'm going to trim it, cut it out, and now I'm going to put the glue on it, press it down, simple, simple. I'm using the smooth side of that A. Either way, it will fit. And then the glue strip that's on the back is almost like rubber cement. It comes off so easy. I just pried the corner and then pulled it off. Now, some options. You can use scrapbook paper. You can use that cork board, whatever you like to use. But for me, on this orange pumpkin, I am going to use this beautiful plaid paper that I've had for a few years. You can see that it came from Target originally, but I got mine at dirt cheap. I have traced it out and trimmed it down. Now I'm going to lay this beautiful, beautiful blue and orange plaid paper down on top of this pumpkin. And using my wood ruler, I'm just going to smooth it all out. It is a little bit of texture on there, so I'm just making sure that I press it down nicely. Now you can see there is an overhang from the paper, which is not a problem. We're going to go around with a sanding block and just clean up those edges. You can see how that paper just frays away and falls off. Gives it a nice look. All right, now I want to add some leaves to this pumpkin. I'm going to trim down some of my large burlap leaves. Bet you know where these came from. Dollar Tree. Yep, you guessed right. Of course. Okay, hopefully they'll still have these. I got mine last year, so I had some left. Then I'm going to also use the oak leaf. So I have part of the maple leaf that I've cut, part of the oak leaf that I've cut, and I'm just trying to find the position that I like on the pumpkin for my little leaves. You know, I generally put everything to the left, but for some reason, I wanted this on the right. So here I am trying it on the right, and this is why I haven't glued the center section down yet. I want to put the leaves on first. Since I know I want them to overlay like that, I'm just going to hold them and glue them that way, using my little ruler here. Yes, I used it as a paint stirrer, so it looks terrible right now. Still serves its purpose though. I love it. All right, again, holding that in place because I know that's the right placement for it. I'm going to add some hot glue and press it down. Protect your fingers. There is a chance that the glue can come through the burlap. I'm going to take my hot glue, put it all over this layer of the pumpkin, and put it back in place. But wait, we're not done. We have a little something extra. Let's add a pretty bow. This is some ribbon that my friend and neighbor gave to me from her stash when she was cleaning out her supplies. And it's a very pretty little ribbon with little, I don't even know what you call that, trim on it. It's cute though. I'm gonna do another one of those super simple bows. This video is all about simplicity. So I'm gonna, yep, that's the right size, just like that. I'm gonna take 2 little pieces of jute the same size, and I'm going to, at the same time, make the exact same type of bow. Pull it out, make it look nice, trim it down, then I'm going to trim that bow, that ribbon bow down to the same size, and just decide how I want to layer these on the pumpkin. Hey, if you haven't subscribed already, I would love to have you as part of my YouTube family. We are over 3,000, so that's a milestone, and I'm so happy to be there. Thank you for all of your support and love. Here's my pumpkin. What do you think about it? Cute. Okay, so going on to the next pumpkin. This is how it's going to look, and we want to embellish the plaid section. I'm going to put my middle back on the pumpkin. You could paint the background if you wanted, but I like it just the way it is. I like the white there. And I've chosen this pumpkin out of a set of vinyl cutouts that were originally from Target, and I got them at dirt cheap. I'm going to put this down. I'm not going to use any transfer paper because I want you to see this can be done. You just have to be patient and careful in your placement. Okay, so now we have our little pumpkin down there, and it looks super cute. I've got some coppery looking wired ribbon here, and it's like a sheer ribbon, and also some of the same gingham ribbon that I used on another project in this video, and I'm just going to trim it up too, and I'm going to make a pretty bow for it. So this bow's a little bit different. I'm just going to cross it over and then walk the middle down to the bottom, just like that. I'm going to pinch it up, and then you can use some type of a clip to hold it in place while you work on the next layer of your bow. And this is going to be this one. Same little simple bow, and then we're just going to add that right on the top. I'm going to use another piece of that ribbon to tie those together, and that's going to give us some extra check tails. Tie that tightly in the middle, hold it in place, put another knot in there so it's not going anywhere. Then you can fluff it, and you can trim it where you want to trim it. You shouldn't need any extra hot glue to hold anything together. It should stay there nicely for you. And I know that I want to put it right up there where the original bow was. I'm going to put it there and use this clamp to hold it down until it is dry and set up. And this is how this pumpkin looks. What do you think about that one? Cute, huh? Okay, so back to the little pumpkin that we made before. We use the stand just like on the other ones. Alright, using Dollar Tree items, we're going to start off with one of these little wooden boxes. Doesn't matter which one you get. I have some of these napkins, and these are the longer ones. I have some spackling and a little spatula. We're going to start off by filling in the holes in this little llama. I chose the llama because it seemed to have smaller holes, less work to have to do. So I'm just going to take the spackling with my fingers. Don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. This washes off easily. And I'm going to press it down in each one of those holes. You have to kind of press it and then push it to the side. Otherwise, it'll just go straight through. So you got to kind of do it at an angle to make it stay in there. We want to fill these in because we're going to be putting something on top. Now I've taken the flat side of my spatula. You can use a scraper or anything that you have, and just pushing it down and then going across the top. So you see what's left on the back, you just can scrape those little crumbs out and put them back into your container. Now once you get those all filled in, you'll be ready to let it dry. There you go. Be sure you put your lid back on that so it doesn't dry out. Then you'll want to put it in a place where it can dry. And while that is drying, we're going to start working on the bottom part of the box. You can use paint, you can use stain, you can leave it the same color it is, you can use furniture markers, whatever you want to use here. I'm just going to take some of my antiquing wax. I love this stuff. I'm going to add some water. That's all that is in that bottle. Mix it up to make a stain. It has virtually no smell and is very easy to clean up. I use wipes. You can use whatever kind of wipes that are okay for your skin. They seem to work really good. Baby wipes, whatever you got. I'm going to dip it in there. You don't want to put too much in. You don't want it dripping necessarily, but enough to give you the coverage that you want. You can always add more to it or put another coat on there if you want to. So you're just going to go around all of the sides and see, you definitely want to protect your surface because it does make kind of a mess. This is a wax, so be sure you mix it well with your water. Okay, and then be sure you go around that rim on the top. You want this to have a nice finished look. We want everything to be nice and clean. Go along on the inside of the box. I wanted to show you this instead of completely taking it away because you can get into those corners just by rolling it and pushing it down with your finger. That way you get right down into the corner, just like I did there. And you'll have no white spots left. And you're just going to go from side to side. I like the wipes rather than using a brush. That just works better. It gives me the coverage that I like, and it's still sheer enough that you can see the wood grain. And I think that that's important. We're going to make something really cute with this box. Alright, so we're going to put that aside and let it dry. Once your spackling is dry, you're going to go around just the edges. You're not going to go onto the top. We're going to do something different there. So just carefully go around the edges of this box so that it matches the bottom. Or if you're painting, instead of doing this technique, you can go ahead and put your paint there too. And then we're going to do also the inside. It's really important that that spackling is dry when you do this, because if it's not and you press down, it's going to push the spackling out the front. Then you're going to have a mess. So I'm going to go on top and put down some linen white chalk paint. You can use whatever type of paint you have. You can use acrylic. It really does not matter here. The reason I'm using white is because I want my watercolor napkin to really stand out. So there we go. I'm going around the edges carefully so that it doesn't get on the sides where we stained it. And I'm just making sure that there's no holes and you don't necessarily see that little llama through there. So there we go. Once it is dry, you can see the outline a little bit there, but that won't matter. I'm going to flip it over and just trim out around the box top. You don't have to do this exactly. It's so much easier to do it this way. Don't bother yourself with trying to cut something so thin perfectly. So I'm going to use some Mod Podge here, and I'm just using the mat. I'm going to squeeze a little bit out there. You don't want to get too much because you don't want it to make that tissue paper of that napkin to tear. So just enough that it's going to give it some stickiness. And then you're going to take just a single layer, so be sure you separate your layers and lay that on the top. I'm just lightly laying it and trying to get it centered before I press it down. You do have a little bit of room to move here if you need to. And then from the inside out, I'm just going to press with my fingers. Don't be too concerned if you get little wrinkles here and there. It's okay. This is watercolor and it virtually disappears. So you can see here I'm just trying to press out and away from the center and press down around my edges. Just like that. Simple. I'm not concerned that it's hanging over and that there's some pieces that, are going over the top of the box. That's not a problem. I'm going to add a little bit more. I'm not going crazy with this Mod Podge, but I want enough to seal it in so that this will last. You can use glossy, you can use whatever, Mod Podge you want to use. If you like a glossy look, you can do that, but I think with the stain, it's going to look better if I use matte, so that's why I chose it. Okay, and now carefully with your fingers, you can just push away. I'm pushing, not pulling. I'm pushing it down and then letting it kind of slide off of there. It's not wet, it's only wet where the top of the box is. So this dry part will pretty easily come off there. I'm just gently rolling off some of the pieces there, and then once it dries, you can take a sanding block and just very gently brush away the little edges. And you can see how pretty that is with the colored sides there, with the stained sides. I think it looks really nice. It's a very rustic look, and of course I'm always striving for rustic, but you do whatever you want. These videos are for inspiration, so you do what you like. Now, what a cute little gift idea, guys. I wanted to show you this. So here it is, complete, all dried and ready to go. I've taken some raffia, stuck it in the bottom, or whatever this is, Excelsior grass, whatever this is. You can use paper shreds. Then I've taken some seasonal candies here. These are just some chocolates. And I'm going to put these down in the box. They're matching colors. Put the lid on it. What a cute little gift idea. So we're going to go back in the inside of this lid now, since we know what we want to do with it. And I'm using a window cling. You can use a sticker, you can paint this, do this however you want to do it. You can use a piece of fabric even, maybe. Make a special note and attach that, whatever you want to do here. I'm just going to clip this off and make this work. I'm going to use some spray adhesive just to try something different. Protect your surface here, make sure the area is ventilated. And then put down my little leaf. And by the way, the leaf is stayed here. You don't have as much time to work with it with the spray adhesive as you do with glue stick or Mod Podge, so be sure you get it where you want it because it is not coming up. So I'm just going to rub that down and make sure it stays. Then I'm going to put our lid back on, take a little piece of jute. I'm just kind of making sure I have the even amounts on the sides for my bow. You can use ribbon here, you can use anything you want. Anything you want here. Some string, you can use some baker's twine, whatever looks good to you. But this is rustic to me and I like it. Farmhousey, rustic, very cute. I'm just making my bow look pretty. And there we go. Isn't that cute? Who wouldn't love getting that as a little pick-me-up? Give me a thumbs up if you think you would enjoy something like this. All right, number 1 is a fall topiary. We're going to have some greenery here. These are thrifted pieces of greenery. I have a thrifted little mini wreath down there. These are some greenery pieces that are on a garland. Really, really pretty. I'm going to pick off the cream colored. And you'll see below I have 3 of those crackled glass or ceramic pumpkins from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to start by figuring out my setup. Now I know I'm going to need some foam, and in order to hold that in, I'm going to cut a piece of scrap paper, make a little circle there for the bottom. I'm just going to hot glue it down on this wreath so that we can press our picks into a piece of styrofoam instead of gluing it all together. It makes the items more versatile so you can change things up. Now I'm going to take a scrap of styrofoam. So easy. Take this out of some boxes from something you've gotten in the mail. Then I'm going to add some hot glue. You're going to need Gorilla Glue or some E6000 for this project because it is a shiny glass. Be sure also that you use some alcohol to wipe down all your pumpkins so that that glue gets some good grip. Now you're going to pick whatever type of matching, coordinating, whatever makes your little heart happy greenery. Fall greenery, preferably. And I'm going to mix it up a little bit. So I'm going to use these little pieces, and you can see here I am doing 4 corners. So I've got kind of a square shape. Then I'm just going to fill in between. This is very easy. I'm tucking this in between the wreath form and the pumpkin, and it goes right into the styrofoam. If you don't have styrofoam, you could always put your picks right into your wreath. Now I'm going to start adding these little pieces. They look, I don't know, like little seed pods maybe. Not really sure what you would call them. And I'm going to do those in a square as well. I like the look of this. And so far we've got our orange and our cream. And we will be bringing in some bluish green when we put the eucalyptus in there. Okay, so far so good. First pumpkin down, first layer down. Now I've decided that I want my orange to go in the middle. So I'm just going to add a good bit of glue, and conveniently enough there's a hole in the bottom. So you're just going to go at an angle, slide that straight on there, make sure that it's level, and I was standing above it looking down. Hold it until it is dry and secure. Then we're going to take the last pumpkin. Same thing. Going to put a good bit of glue on here. We don't want anything to topple over and break. And then put it on a slant there, and then put it straight down. You don't want to break anything, so just be gentle with this. I was afraid because it has a crackle finish that it may be a little more fragile than your normal ceramic or glass pumpkin, so just something to keep in mind. Be careful. Okay, so now I've got this beautiful bluish green eucalyptus that I have cut into pieces, and I'm going to start tucking those in that bottom layer of greenery. And then we'll move up a little bit between the pumpkins in a minute. I'm just kind of looking to see what I like here. I don't have a particular pattern for this, but I do like to try to space them out kind of evenly so that I get a good distribution of all the colors all the way around. So from all angles, you could actually put this in the center of your table if you wanted to, or on your bar, because it looks nice in all directions. Just be sure that you rotate your piece and that things are looking like you want it to look. So I'm laying some pieces flat and some at an angle, putting some on top and some underneath and some in between. These little picks were also thrifted. I don't know if I mentioned that. So now I'm between the top and the second pumpkin, and I am just adding on some little leaves there. I didn't use any of the orange and yellow between these because I have all that color, the cream and the orange in the top 2 pumpkins, so I just wanted to add the eucalyptus between these layers. I'm just using a pick to help me press it in between the layers so that I don't put too much stress on it by trying to put my finger in there to hold it still. Okay, now I'm going to add a couple of pieces on the top and a little more in between. You can use a dowel rod or a pen or a pencil, piece of wire, whatever you have to kind of tuck those things in there, and that's what I've done. I want to let them have a little bit of movement, so I'm only putting the glue on one end so that the tips of the leaves, you know, kind of stand out. And this is what we have. Gonna look at it, see if you want to add anything else, and at this point you can certainly do that. Give me a thumbs up if you like this one. So this Goodwill palette sign and the frame there both came from Goodwill. The pumpkin is missing a stem. We're going to fix that later. Alright, so that's just a picture frame there. And then this is a card, a really pretty card I got from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to take this frame apart, remove the backing and the glass. Now the palette frame, or the palette pumpkin underneath, has some raised levels. So there's some areas on the right side that don't have a raised spot. This is not damaged, it's actually made this way. We're going to make up for that in just a minute. Because if you don't seat it down there correctly, it's going to wobble. So we're going to use a combination of the Dollar Tree Fix-All glue and some Gorilla hot glue on this project also. I'm going to use 2 popsicle sticks. That seems to be the right width of space between the edge of that frame and the pumpkin underneath. So again, we're going to make it level by putting these together. So I'm going to use some of the Fix-All and some hot glue to do this. Probably not necessary to use the Fix-All, but there's a little weight to that frame and I don't want anything falling off once I get it put together. So just be on the safe side. And the hot glue is gonna glue pretty quickly, and then the Fix-All will have a better hold, a longer hold in the long run. So for instant gratification, I'm using a glue stick. And just sporadically putting it on the parts that are actually going to make contact with the frame. I keep saying frame, it's the pumpkin underneath. You can see here where the areas are raised. Some of the slats are raised and some are not. Alright, so I've got it ready and stable. And I'm just going to place it down where I want it. I want to put it a little bit lower down, not in the center. Okay, so I'm just going to use the envelope that came with that pretty card up there and just trace it out on a piece of cardboard that came out of a calendar that I bought from Dollar Tree. See? See where I'm going with that? Alright, so now I'm going to take some, I was going to use some of this tape, but I decided to use the glue stick from Dollar Tree. It works well. Alrighty, so I centered it so it's framed out just a little bit, and I'm going to just run a bead of hot glue down the high points of that picket and place it down there. So now it won't look like a frame anymore, it's just going to look like a picket fence with a pretty sign on it. And in case you're wondering, those are wheat stems on the Thankful card. All right, and so just to hold that down and keep it flat, I'm gonna add these pieces, let them dry for a minute. Now I'm gonna pull the stand off the back of that picture frame from before, and that is going to be our stem. Isn't that perfect? Fits perfectly. Okay, so what you can't see because I'm out of the screen is me wrapping some jute around the top of there to finish off that stem. It's actually not jute, it's that rope looking, looks like rope. It's in the harvest section, but it's stretchy. I don't have the packaging to show you that because I took it out of the packaging, but you can use jute, it'll do the same thing. Then I'm using these clamps that came out of the Dollar Tree. They're in the laundry section if you want to find something like that for yourself. And I'm going to let that dry. In the meantime, I'm picking out some ribbon to make a bow. This is going to be kind of a small bow, a little petite bow. It's really pretty. I think it looks like it came from maybe Walmart, the ribbon, but I actually got it from Goodwill. So I've also went ahead and dovetailed the ends of those ribbons. And now I'm just making another one of those little bows. I believe it's called a funky bow. I'm gonna have to do some research so I can get you guys straight. And you can refer to other videos when I don't get in the camera. But anyway, I'm folding them completely in half, finding the middle of the section, pinching it, and then holding it between my thumb and my first finger. I'm just holding it in my hand. So all the little loops are up and all the little dovetailed ears are down. And I'm going to take a handy dandy zip tie. I love these things. They also come from the Dollar Tree. And you can buy these white ones, and you can buy a pack of, I think they're black and red, and they're smaller. So whatever you prefer. You probably get more in the package of smaller ones. It's just the way it goes sometimes. Yeah, I'm just going to tighten that up because I know I'm going to be pulling on it a good bit to fluff it. You know me and my fluffing. Got that end off, and then start laying that bow out. Now nothing goes to the bottom. This is like a pancake. Like if you're looking from above down, you're going to see all the little ends sticking around where all the little folded pieces are. So all the little ears and all the little tails will all be fluffed out. Kind of like a flower, I guess. And it's going to allow you to have a flat spot on the bottom. Be sure that you turn all of your decorative sides upward and the plain side down. Fluffing, fluffing, fluffing. And fluffing some more. Okay, so that looks good. And I've had plenty of time for that to dry. And this is where I'm going to put my pretty little bow. It's a very cute little farmhouse rustic sign, I think. See the flat bottom? Gives you a good space to put some glue so you can glue it flat down on your surface. No need to tie it or secure it in any other way. Alright, so I'm just going to press and hold that down and make sure that it gets all around that raised level and that the glue gets through the fabric of that ribbon to hold it in place. Isn't it cute though? Alright, and so finishing touches, I thought that it could use some leaves up there on the top. Pumpkins have leaves, so we're going to give our pumpkin some leaves. Little glue on there, tuck it under the bow, and that is that. This was a Dollar Tree and mainly thrifted pumpkin
wall art, little pieces and scraps that we put together to make a beautiful piece of rustic, country, farmhouse, whatever you want to call it. Distressed picket fence, pumpkin, thankful sign. Yeah. All right, and I am thankful for all of you for subscribing and watching and sharing and giving me thumbs up. We're going to start off with one of these plain little Floral summer hats. You can get these at Dollar General when they go on clearance at the end of summer. But you can get them at other stores as well, or you can thrift a hat. I'm going to start off by gently removing the hat band that's there. It's braided and it's pretty, so I think we'll keep that and we'll use that later. Okay, so then you want to choose your ribbon because we're going to make a hat band. So I thought this pretty fall ribbon from Dollar Tree would be good. I'm going to use this and I'm going to layer it with green. And here I am just putting a little bit of glue on here to layer these two pieces together. I just trimmed the wire edge off of the truck one so that it would be a little bit smaller. Then I'm just going to fit it around from the front to the back, and I'm going to glue it in a crisscross sort of in the back. You have to gently put this thing together so you don't burn yourself, but you want to kind of put a little glue on and then cup the ribbon down, add a little more and cup it down. If you need to trim pieces of it, just like a little snip so it'll lay flat, you can do that too. I don't have any footage of that, but I did it in 2 or 3 curves, I think. So we're just going to lay that over, and then I'm going to trim off the little longer piece of green there into a dovetail. All right, then I'm going to take these thrifted picks that I got from Goodwill, and they coordinate pretty nicely with the colors that I have on the hat band there. So I'm just going to trim these off. I'll plumb off the stem and then trim them off of the little pieces that stick them together. This is a piece of cording, I guess, from Dollar Tree. Just wanted to add that on there, but you really can't see it after I get all the leaves on. And you're just going to take those leaves and kind of alternate your dark with your light colors. It makes each different color stand out better if you do it that way. Or you can make ombre or whatever you want to do, whatever's good for you. So you'll see I kind of pick them up, move them around, and decide what goes where the best. Really doesn't matter. It's rustic. Whatever you want to do. So I'm not going to glue it completely down everywhere because I want the leaves to have still a little bit of bend and flexibility, so they look like, you know, leaves that fall off the trees. So a little glue on the leaf before it and a little glue on the hat to hold it down. All right, now I'm just going back in and adding a few little extra pieces that I had where I felt like I needed a little change of color in my pattern. Just added a few pieces. And then these little sprigs also came from Dollar Tree. Pulled them off of a bigger pick and just bent them around and then glued them down. Okay, so I'm going to take this strip of thrifted burlap, fold it over on itself, and then I want to make a bow with it, so I'm going to fold it over about 1 inch onto itself and then gather it up with my fingers. Just like that. And that's going to be the base of our bow, and I'm going to use a zip tie to put around there and hold it in place. Okay, so that's what the little bow looks like, and we're going to trim off the excess. I have a longer piece of a thinner strip of burlap. I just used a piece of wire, twisted around that, and then glued it to the back of that bow. So now I'm just trying to decide what kind of a bow I want to make on the back to go under there. And I think I'm going to do, I think it's called a funky bow. It's very easy to make, although you will not be able to see me make it in this video. I'm going to cut 2 strips that are the same length. I'm going to go fold it completely in half and then go down about 3 inches, gather that up, and then hold it in my hand between my thumb and my finger there. Then I'm going to do exactly the same thing on the other, bunch it up, and then tuck it right next to the other one. So the ears are up and the tails are down. I went ahead and used a zip tie to wrap around the middle of those, and you can see clearly now what I did. And I'm going to dovetail the ends, which is cutting them in a triangle upward, outside in, upward. And then that will give me 2 loops and 4 tails. With this type of bow, you don't necessarily use the tails to hang down under it. You put the tails in the bow. It's part of the decoration. It's part of the bow. So you'll see kind of what I mean, I think, in just a minute. Just really trying to get an idea. But now you can see how I fluffed it out. 2 on the bottom and 2 are on the top sides where the bow is. So it's only 2 loops. And I wanted that because it's a little bit flatter and it will accommodate this other bow on top of it a little bit better. So just hot glue that bow to the center of the other bow. Alright, after you've given that a minute to glue, you can just go ahead and cut those ends there also and dovetail. And then you can fluff it out how you like it. I decided I want to put a pumpkin in the center of this bow, so I'm going to seed it on some leaves. Since the burlap is a light color, I use the darker leaf underneath and then a green leaf on top. Then I'm going to take that pumpkin with a good bit of glue and stick it down, and then I just tucked 2 of the smaller leaves under the edge there. So, remember that hat band? We're going to use it as a hanger. So I'm just moving it to the top, although you're seeing it upside down, and I'm going to glue that on. And I've decided to use this Dollar Tree burlap leaf to go on the top and the center of the hat. And that is it. That's all she wrote.
Don't forget to like, comment and share.